This is Checking In With, a bonus podcast of the Check-In. My name is Dennis Callow.
My name is Bethany Watson.
Guys, I am really excited today because you've heard us talking about this movie that we worked on in Minneapolis called Little Lucha and the Big Deal. And finally, today, we have the brains behind it.
Yep. The two brains.
Because two brains are better than one.
Yep. We have the two beauties.
Yes.
And
what else? There's a third beauty, Daniel Degnan, who we've talked a bunch about on this show too, but he's not here because fuck him.
And restraining orders.
Yeah, restraining orders. Yeah.
And they're here today with us.
They're here today. So I would like to introduce Josh Stifter and Scarlet Moreno. Hello, welcome to Checking In With.
Hello.
Did I get your last names correct, or was it like okay,
Yes.
Perfect.
Hi.
You know, for years, Josh, I was calling you Sifter.
Everyone, it's always something. It's a hard one.
You should just say the T is silent.
I've never had an issue with your last name, Josh, and I feel like I'm always like, what's hard about that?
Well, I think there isn't. It isn't hard. It's just unusual. It's not a super common last name, and it's a lot of S and T sounds after each other. So I think people kind of get lost in the
They get lost in the consonants.
Yeah, and so it becomes a challenge. They want to get right to the I and in the ER, so it throws them off. But I think you had the benefit of, because we were on Rebel when we met, we were hearing each other's names a lot, and they made very sure that we were saying the proper names. Because I remember I got 5 days onto the show and then said, why is everyone calling me Josh? Like, this is driving me nuts. And they were like, what? What do you mean? I'm like, it's John. It's not Josh. You guys keep saying Josh. And like, production just was like, what? Like, everyone lost their minds behind the scenes. And I just sat there like trying not to laugh. I was like, I'm just messing with you guys. Like, well, how would it have gotten this far before I said this?
You heard a giant record scratch.
Yeah, there was.
Everyone in the graphics department was like, fuck!
Yeah.
So, okay, wait. So let's pause there for a second. So let's talk about Rebel Without a Crew. This is the origin story. Okay, you can have a fake one and a real one and let our audience figure it out. So the reason why we wanted to have you two on the show is because we check in with people, and sometimes we'll check in with couples, but you are a couple who is not a couple, but you're a creative couple, and the way you met was really cool. So look, either of you could take liberties with this origin story, but lay it out for us. What happened? How'd you guys meet?
I mean, my favorite part of how we met is that I was the first person to walk out on the lot of Troublemaker, like in the opening of Rebel Without a Crew. It was like the first episode where they introduced us. So I was the first to get walked out, and like, and then Josh walked out and he came up to me and he goes, "Are you the host?"
I was like, they told us nothing. So let's go.
No, are you like, no?
Okay. So picture this. You're going on a show where you're going to be making like low budget independent films for no money, like nothing. You're getting $7,000.
Which was the basis of this show. It was a reality show.
Yeah.
People who don't know.
Created by Robert Rodriguez, who has directed El Mariachi and a slew of other.
Sin City,
Sin
Alita
City.
Battle Angel. Yeah, a ton of stuff. And so, I was going to be on the show. I get flown out there. I end up staying in the worst hotel room I've ever seen in my entire life. Like literally, they're like smoking or non-smoking. I walk into the room. I'm non-smoking. I walk into the room and there are cigarette burns on the bed and a spot where they obviously took the smoke alarm down. I'm just like, So that's what constitutes. This is not a hotel. To be clear, this is a extended stay. Like
it's like where the sad dads go when there's a divorce.
So, yes, exactly. So I'm sleeping one night. I'm laying in bed trying to sleep, stress of the show. And I was there for 2 nights. They put me there one night. Then we had to meet with them. Then I'd sleep another night and get up and go to the show. So I had no food. There's no restaurants around. I had nothing. At one point, I walked across the street to this little like Mexican restaurant and like looked in the window and knocked in, and they were having like a birthday party for their family. And I was just like, oh no. And I like walked away awkwardly. and so I'm trying to sleep in my cigarette burned bed, and I hear a bottle smash outside my window, and someone screams, "Quiet down or they're going to call the cops." And another dude screams back, "They ain't call it, or the cops aren't coming tonight. They came last night." I was just like, I'm in hell.
I'm going to die tonight.
And you looked out the window and Scarlet was out there.
Yes. And that was Troublemaker Studio. No. So then a van shows up on that third morning, drives me out to the location, parks like 2 blocks down the street. Everyone leaves me in this van just sitting there for a while. I'm like, are you guys going to tell me what I'm doing? Like, what is happening? And they mic me up and then they're like, okay, you're going to walk out and then, you're going to be introduced. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I walk out onto this huge parking lot. I come into this caged place. If you've ever seen Troublemaker Studio, it's like big gated fences and it's an airport. It's an old airport. So I'm walking past this hangar and I walk around and there's this like woman dressed up in like a beautiful outfit. And like, I mean, to her, it's not, but I'm wearing fucking flannel and a t-shirt and jeans. Like I'm expecting a bunch of skate punk morons who are like, yeah, I can make a movie for $7,000. So I see her and I'm like, what are we, I'm supposed to say something? Are you the host? And she's like, no, I'm one of the filmmakers. And I'm like, okay, pleasure to meet you. What are we doing, everyone?
Yeah.
Like I go into director mode trying to figure out what's happening.
Big energy.
Big panic energy.
Big panic energy.
Yeah.
So Scarlet, I remember I've seen this clip. You're literally wearing, are you wearing a onesie? Was it a one
No,
piece?
so I'm wearing like a vintage suit, but it's like a lounge, like a vintage lounge suit, like the kind that has like the JCPenney tag on it from the 60s, which I love.
Yeah.
Which I think is like utilitarian. I'm like, oh, this is work outfit.
And to our gentle listeners who aren't watching the video, Scarlett's overall style is like 1950s, 60s pinup housewife Marabou, like, but on cocaine with super bright colors and just like glamorous no matter what.
No matter what.
And so,
thank you.
Yeah, so just picture like a pinup model wearing feathers in all different colors, and you have got a good idea of what Scarlet looks and dresses like. So,
Yes.
Just didn't mean to interrupt. I just wanted to.
No,
that's so kind.
And I saw one picture of Kurt Cobain and just dressed like him since 1992.
This is the aesthetic for the rest of my life.
Kurt Cobain once.
Yeah.
Like in real life.
Nope, just a photo of him on the 93X, the local radio commercial that plays on the WB. Yeah. And I'm like, let that guy style. I'm going for that forever.
I'm never changing out of Luke.
So Scarlet, Scarlet, you see Josh walking towards you. So now tell us the experience for you. What had your experience been like?
Well, I was also carted there in a van. You know what I mean?
It really was
nondescript van. We don't, like what if it wasn't the right van?
Totally.
Like, and you just got into like some weird van. I was like.
That's what the vibe was. It was
like,
and I'm like, okay, it's like 5 a.m. and I'm like out of it. So I get in the van and like, I don't just get into every van, but this seemed like an open van.
This was a good van.
Well, we were introduced to our producers the day before, so we at least had an idea that there was actually a show happening.
Yeah. It wasn't like a surprise. But yeah, I get out and they're like, you're going first. And I was like, and much like Josh is saying, I was like, what does that mean going first? Like, where are we going? What are we doing? It was very like, we're not going to tell you anything. You're just going to go stand where we tell you, stand at the X, whatever. And like on the show, it's a cool intro. We're all walking out in slow motion. They're like introducing us. But in real life, you're not in slow motion. You're just walking to the middle of an empty parking lot.
Yeah.
Confused and scared.
And so I'm just standing there literally like ooh, smiling. And Josh walks up and I know he's one of the other filmmakers. I'm like, oh, what's up? And then he's like, are you the host? I'm like, no, sir. And then the rest of the people walk up and it's like wonderful and nerve-wracking. And then we all slow motion walk into the hangar, which is the Troublemaker Studios. So it was like cool, but very nerve-wracking. You're like in your head the whole time because it's docu-series, it's reality TV basically. So you're like, everything I say is being recorded, which is like a very new feeling. I feel it's fast forward 6 years and it's like not, it's not crazy to say everything I do and say is being recorded, but
totally.
But yeah, this was like 2017. So it was wild. It was my first and only time being on like docu reality TV. So.
Mm-hmm. And you two, so you two did not work together on the show. You were both separate directors doing your own thing.
Yeah.
Yes, with the caveat of the fact that we spent like every hour outside of making our movie with each other, talking about what we need to do to make our movie, walking through scenes. Like
Josh and I also had similar schedules. Like there was 5 filmmakers, and like we were all in the same house together, so we all interacted a ton. Everyone was actually really wonderful. There was no like, and I think the show kind of wanted drama, but there just like was none because we were all truly there to make our movies. But Josh and I had similar shoot schedules, so we would come home. It was so funny. We would come home. I would make pizza rolls, right? Tostino's pizza rolls.
So good.
And beer.
Whoever showed up first would make the pizza rolls. It was like one of us would be there earlier. We'd make the pizza rolls.
Yeah. And then we would eat pizza rolls and beer. And like, I think I also was really into Raisin Bran on that show. So
I got mocked relentlessly for the amount of carrots I ate. I was like Bugs Bunny walking around with a carrot. So we had a fridge that had food in it. We had a per diem we could spend on food from the reality show. But I just wanted to save all my per diem, take that money home and whatever. So I just ate from the fridge all the time, drank the beer that they gave us. And but they always had carrots. So when I get up in the morning, I just grab like a handful of carrots, shove it in my pocket and head to set and eat that through the day. And on top of that, this is spilling some tea that I don't know if I've spilled and I could maybe get in. I mean, what are they going to do now? Like there is no El Rey network. So, but I would get a lunch and I would order a massive lunch. Daniel only got 1 per diem meal out of the day. So they would buy him lunch, but he wouldn't get dinner.
Because he was technically there as an actor, right?
He was there as an actor,
a director.
Yeah.
So he would...
Not your +1.
He was, but he didn't get anything besides the one meal that the people were provided. So we get lunch every day. And then Daniel was just living at the ranch that we filmed at. So I would order a huge meal. He would order a huge meal. And then we combine what we didn't eat into his dinner. So he would have that for dinner.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah. So he would be stuck at the ranch sleeping in the same, like in the Willow's bedroom, watching Evil Dead. Well, you know, when the whole crew left and eating leftovers from everyone.
Oh.
And now, what was the vibe like between all the filmmakers? Was there a sense of it was good. Was there a sense of competition, or was it like you guys were like, "This is fucking crazy"? Like,
because we were each so it was kind of really interesting to watch this develop. But the show, I think, wanted to be a reality competition show. They wanted it to be this like thing where there was like contests and like little challenges, but like. I remember the first day, our challenge was with a location book. And it was like, if you guys want a location, you all have to like scramble, grab the page with the location you want. And then that's your location. So we're like, okay. And we got a token for who goes first or whatever. And I don't remember who went first, but the first person that went started putting aside locations. They were like, oh, this would be good for Josh. This would be good for DK. This would be good for Ale. This would be good for Gola. Like we literally started just like putting them aside for each other. And then the producers were like, what do we do with this? Like, what do we do with this?
It was so funny because there was just like this beautiful moment I remember because it was the way they did it was they handed us the notebook. We had 15 minutes to go through it and actually everyone was able to look. And then at the end, we had to place our tokens on which ones we wanted. So what ended up happening is in this mad dash of 15 minutes, we all had talked about our movies just enough that we're like,
to know
everyone's thinking about everyone else. So I don't know who the first one was to do this, but yeah, it just became straight up like,
this is for you.
This is Scarlet. This is fucking 70s. Alejandro, this is like a backyard in the 90s. Like we all were just chucking stuff to each other. And that became kind of the play-by-play through the entire process was everyone kind of helped each other. And they realized like a few days in that this show wasn't ever going to be a competitive thing. There's no reason. They didn't figure out what the win or lose of it even was. It wasn't like the win or lose would be like if someone decided to watch all the movies, they could pick their favorite. That was like about as much as the competition could get. And we never even thought about it that way because we just wanted to get our movies done.
We just wanted to finish. It was so hard. The circumstances were so fucking crazy that we just wanted to make our movie. Like, and so I think it kind of made for a really, we all be like, I say Josh is my blood brother, like, because that was the vibe on that show is like, we all became like blood brothers because we were like going through the trenches together, basically.
It was interesting how everyone had different relationships with everyone else throughout the 6 weeks that the process went on. And then obviously well beyond that, we still do. But there was like this interesting, like Alejandro was on a weird schedule. So he connected more with people on the weekends and like setting up the party and bringing people in to have like a big fun moment. Whereas like Scarlett and I were very much I was definitely the tech guy.
You're the most technical.
Everyone was coming to me all the time for like, I don't know how to make this thing work.
One of the first conversations Josh and I had was on the bus on the way. We had like a big bus take us to the house, to the like show house from when we were introduced on the lot. And we like get in this bus and everyone's like, how do you guys feel about like editing? Like, what are we going to do? And Josh is like, oh, I'm like literally an editor. And I was like, I've never edited anything in my life. And he looked at me and he was like, what are you going to do?
Yeah. I was literally like,
well, that's encouraging. Jesus
I was like,
Christ.
I'm going to use, no, it gets worse.
Okay. You think it gets better? It gets worse.
No, it gets worse. And this is so funny.
I'm going to use Final Cut Pro. And he looks at me and he goes, you're not going to use Premiere? And I was like, oh, Premiere sounds hard. And he goes, they're going to want
you to use Premiere.
Josh.
Gave like a joke that I started saying was like, they're gonna want you to use Premiere.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm screaming at Premiere every fucking day of my life because it constantly crashes.
So, here's the reason why the reason I actually said that was because I knew we were going to be set up to work together on projects based on the conversation I had. One of the reasons I got picked was because I'm an editor, and they knew they weren't going to get that from everyone. Mm-hmm. So they needed someone who could help people out and whatever. But in my head, this is day one right away, I'm going like, how the shit are they going to link all of these files together if we're all working on different systems? Like if we're all using, and I'd already talked to Ryan Crow, the showrunner, and Johnny Hogg, the director, about the fact that they were using Premiere for editing stuff. And like I had talked all these technical things, and the fact that you just like threw that out there made me just go like,
it made your brain hurt.
I was in Premiere now.
And to be clear,
like, it's not gonna happen, brother.
that was not how the conversation like actually started. She had said when I was like, I'm an editor, she was like, oh my God, I can't wait to pick your brain about editing and figure things out about, the process. And I was like, am I really being like poached to edit a movie? I know you weren't. Like I know now that you weren't, but I really was like nervous, going like, how is this process going to work? Yeah, like how is this process going to work? And then she's like, I work at Final Cut, and I'm like, I haven't used Final Cut in 15 years. Like,
but it ended up being like the more obviously it's really user friendly and like really, or I don't know how it is anymore. I have not touched it since because
it doesn't matter. It worked for you, but you act like you've never edited before and you hopped into it and could use it easy peasy. Like you asked some questions, but it was very easy. Yeah, I think if you had used Premiere, it would have been just as easy. I don't think Premiere is that daunting, especially for.
No, it's not.
It just crashes a lot. I taught BK how to use it in like 3 days, and. Like, so it's I know it's easy. Possible.
Yeah. It's super easy. It's almost like a, well, I don't want to get into technical bullshit, but it's super fucking easy. If you know how to use Premiere, you know how to use that. But my issue with it is that I'm screaming at it because it's always crashing. Like I keep switching from like, I don't know if this is happening to you, Josh, but I'll switch from like editing to color correction because they switched it now. And every time I do that, it crashes at least twice. Like while I'm in the fucking thing. I'm
I
like,
hear
Jesus
screaming
Christ.
from behind a closed
door.
door.
She hears me going, fucking goddamn shitting.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
I've been really lucky. I have not had that issue, and I pushed my system with dynamic linking and all.
How does it feel to be perfect, huh, Josh? How does it feel to be fucking perfect?
Well, and he was right. I remember at the last like phase before we turned in our movies, I was dealing with a workflow.
Yeah,
and it sucked. It was horrible because my sound guy, it wouldn't like connect, like, oh my God, I'm showing my ass right now. But like I know what it was called before. Like the files and the files from Final Cut don't fucking mix because one is like more connected to Premiere and then the other, and it was just so hard and so bad. They had to be like all converted to an XTML or whatever.
Yeah. He was sending you like OMFs or AACs or some shit like that, and then you had to convert them. Yeah. which is why I like using Adobe products, because I can
Right.
always
Exactly.
not an ad, but I do like to use Adobe products and haven't switched, even though they do drive me nuts, because because I can go into Audition and I know how to export everything from Audition.
Right.
So if someone's using something else, they can send that to me. I know how to incorporate that, even if Premiere won't take it. If I need to do graphics, I can hop into After Effects. Like I don't have to I don't have to try to mix and meld like different companies stuff. It just works for me.
They did what Mac did. They created an ecosystem, and once you're in the ecosystem, you can't fucking get out of it.
Yeah. Right.
So okay, so you guys are going through this whole thing with the show, but you two connect on a level beyond anyone else on the show.
Yeah, I remember.
We did.
Yeah. So tell me the moment that you were like, I fucking love you, and then I want to talk about how Little Lucha and the Big Deal like sort of evolved because that happened while you were working together, right?
Yes. Well, I'm also just to go back, it was a very workplace environment, but you also have to remember we're literally there 24/7. Yeah. So like, and in a high stress scenario where we didn't have doors on. We didn't have on our rooms. Like if you farted, people heard it. Like it was like like for real. Nightmare. It was like There
was only doors on the bathroom. There was no doors on the bedroom. So you'd have to go change in the bathroom. And my stupid bedroom was downstairs. It was the only room downstairs. Yeah. And production would leave the lights on at night.
Oh my God.
Like,
wait, were you the only
pitch black, so I had to start wearing a sleep mask.
I'm sure it was rhinestones, right? On that.
I don't know. I think I had like an airplane sleep mask.
Oh, okay, yeah. But like at night, you're just like quietly sewing rhinestones on it. That's what I picture. Yeah. You're like, I can't sleep in this mask. So, Scarlett, remind me, because my memory is shot. Were you the only woman on the show, or there was one more?
No, it was three of us. It was
only two boys
and BK, and then two men. Yeah.
Okay.
Which was cool and awesome. Actually, it was awesome to have two other women on the show. I think that was really cool move on their part. It felt it just felt like, which I don't know, it's hard to talk about this, but it, when people call you a female filmmaker and you're like,
it's also called a filmmaker.
Exactly. And I love, and I've had this conversation before with other women, and it's like, of course, like it's an honor to be recognized, and it's an honor to be in these like female filmmaking festivals and like in these circles with other women in film. And like, it's super important and we need the camaraderie, but like, I'm so excited for a time where it's like not really a thing, like where it becomes such an even playing field that you don't have to say female filmmaker anymore. So basically all that is to say that on the show, we didn't feel like female filmmakers. We felt, I speak for myself, I felt like just a filmmaker in this world. And like, it was really cool.
I would imagine it would take a little bit of the pressure off too, because if you are the only woman in a group, you have to excel above and beyond what everyone else does in order to earn your place, quote unquote. Mm-hmm. So I would imagine it's like, oh, now I can just take a breath and do my thing without having to reach some sort of unattainable bar.
And it's almost part of the reason that I'm like comfortable saying things now that are like XTML. I don't know. You know what I mean? Because like someone would have been like, oh, this bitch doesn't know what she's talking about, or I would have been scared of that. And I just no longer am, because I feel like I've proven my worth. I've like, I am very good, and like and deal with it. And I could be a dude who doesn't know what an XTML is.
I was just gonna say, I've worked with men who don't know their fucking ass from their elbow when it comes to creative stuff. They've told me to make the scene feel blue. I'm like, the fuck is that? They're like, not the color, the feeling. And I'm like, fucking Jesus Christ. You know what I mean? So it's like,
okay, I said that on Little Lucha, but what I meant
my point is, you don't need to know like technical stuff. Like Josh and I know this shit because we're forced into a corner and we're like, fuck, I gotta learn everything to make this movie. You know what I mean? So it's like, so you kind of just, but honestly, I would give it to someone else. I mean, if you can. I don't want,
and to be clear, Scarlett was forced into a corner. Like the whole story about the premiere versus thing, she was, but like,
right.
One of the nice things was, mostly between Scarlett and I is the fact that I felt like we both were I love to say that I'm ignorant. Like, I have no problem being ignorant. There's so much shit I don't know. And I had a teacher who would say that to like, that's how he'd start the class. Every semester, he'd be like, you are ignorant. I am ignorant. Let's embrace that. We're all here to learn. And so I always took that to heart. And although I hated that teacher, but I thought that was a really great point. And and when Scarlett and I started talking, I instantly was like, okay, she's not going to be try hard. And she's going to listen to me when I say, like, I don't fucking know how to do makeup. Like, is it rude of me to ask my actresses to do their own makeup? Because I'm not fucking doing it. Like, but I don't know how to tell them that I can't afford makeup. So we had those kind of conversations where I would be like, how do I handle this? How do I handle, like, bring your own wardrobe? Because I can't.
BYOW.
And now I just
BYOW.
I just want to clarify. I know that you were both pushed into a corner. I was saying, like, pre the show, like, for me, I just was like, I don't have a fucking crew. I don't have anything, but I have an idea. So I taught myself everything before.
Yeah, for sure.
I taught myself editing. I taught myself color correcting. I taught myself all this stuff. And it's like, so that's why I was like, I pushed myself into that corner and didn't form like a crew, which most normal people are like, I'm going to gather a bunch of friends, one who knows how to use a camera, one who knows, and not do it all yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, you kind of go into that mentality of like, now I just do everything by myself, and you actually have to, I think it's better to learn how to communicate with people while also learning some technical stuff. But like, the better you are at communicating, the better you are at getting your ideas across.
For sure. Yeah.
So it's like, in a way, it's almost like when you do have to start working with people, you're like, fuck, I know how to say this to myself, but I don't know how to say this to other people. Like, how do I put this into words? That's all I meant.
I really disagree with that. I feel like you should make things only by yourself, lock yourself in a basement until you just about break. Like, you should push yourself to the point of losing your fucking mind. And that's really the healthiest way.
Yeah. I mean, it's good. Dennis and I have had conversations about each other and others where we've said, like, so-and-so can do it all themselves, but they shouldn't have to do it all themselves because they're going to die. And so
she says that about me, actually.
like
she's like,
Dennis,
you're going to die. You're 40s. I'm going to be 47. You're going to die if you don't hand this camera over to someone else.
Like, Dennis is the equivalent of the person who has like 6 or 7 bags of groceries and will not ask for help and will carry them all himself by like putting them on various... Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah, I know.
It's like,
100%.
I always tell, literally, Josh and I were having a conversation yesterday where I was like, you love the struggle. There's part of you that is comfortable in the discomfort. And like, that's like a whole thing too. That's like, if you're used to doing something yourself for 10 years, like, you're like, I can do this. Why wouldn't I do this?
Yeah.
And then it's kind of like, okay, but actually, like, now I have like the time or the resources to like spread the work, basically, like, instead of spread the wealth. And like, it's uncomfortable sometimes. Like, for me too, I design, I produce, I direct, I write my own stuff. And my younger brother recently was like, I think you should just like start collaborating more. He's like, I love your work. Like, it's beautiful. I'm a big fan, but like, I think there's something worth like opening yourself up to what like other people might bring to the table, as far as maybe direct something someone else wrote or blah, blah, blah. And honestly, the experience on Little Lucha was huge for me to have that with Josh.
So
and
that's
produce something like gorgeous.
Yeah. So I want to talk about that now. So let's talk about the genesis of it. It happened during. Did it happen during the filming of
South
Rebel
by
Without a Crew?
Southwest? Yeah,
It happened during South by Southwest,
which was still Rebel Without a Crew technically, because we were
the last episode, right?
It was the last episode. Yep. And in fact, it may have been like a day after but it was like still, we were there for the show. We had screened our movies, or we were in the process of screening. And I just remember being like, you and I had a conversation where I was like, I don't understand. I understand everything about editing. I get the technical shit. I understand filmmaking. I fucking analyze this shit like a lunatic, but I understand what makes a good performance, but I don't understand how to do it. I don't understand what's in your brain when it happens. And you were like, we should make something together. I can watch you on set the way you work, and you can watch me the way I work. You can act with me. We can do this thing together. And I'm like, Fuck Little Lucha and the Big Deal. Like I literally, I threw out like
went home to the hotel and was like, and like wrote it.
Wrote a first draft. Yeah.
Holy shit.
And it was like, it's very different than what it ended up becoming, but it was like the diner. It was basically the diner.
You took a pass, then I took a pass, and then we both were like, okay, let's go back to this one. And then Dan kind of
took the two of them and like slapped it together into a thing. So
Daniel Degnan, who is a longtime friend of yours, Josh, from the Midwest, that's who I met both of you at Austin Film Festival or Austin Revolution Film Festival, and so he sort of brought me and Bethany into the fold of the production of Little Lucha and the Big Deal, which this was an idea that you had since 2017, and now in 2022 or 23?
22. 23?
No, 23. Beginning of this year.
Beginning of 2023, this
April.
thing finally comes to fruition.
Yeah.
So essentially what happened was we wrote it and then we sent it to a bunch of people. Like we sent it to Robert even. And we were like, hey, what do you think of the script? What can we do with it? And basically got like a bunch of, hey, we really like this script back. That's it. Like, you guys should go make this. Remember when you made that movie for $7,000? This is a lot shorter than that.
Go make this.
So we were like, okay. And then I went and filmed Greywood's plot. You know, we still had to get through releasing our movies. Like a bunch of stuff happened. Then COVID hit. We were all just kind of did other stuff throughout the years. And then Daniel and I were talking, and the concept, I mean, we kept going back to this thing, but the concept that like, I don't need to learn how to act anymore. I literally starred in a feature. Scarlet has made a shitload of stuff since then. Like we don't need each other anymore. But like you said, like sometimes taking the weight off of a project as your own and put, dealing out the work to different people could be helpful. And I think this was Daniel. I think Daniel was really the spearhead of going like, if you don't make this now, you'll never make it. And I need you to make this to learn that you don't have to do everything yourself anymore. Because he kind of saw where I was at, where I'm, and I'm still sort of getting over this thing where for me, it's less that I think, why would I ask someone else to do it myself? I can do it myself. My mind is so fucking Midwestern that I go like, well, I'm not going to put that on someone else.
Totally.
Like I can't ask Jeremy to edit for me. That's ridiculous. I can't call Dennis, and I've only met him one time. I can't call him and say, hey man, we love the way you shoot. Can you shoot this for us? Daniel's much better at that. So he kind of pushed it. But then Daniel literally messaged me. He's like, he and Jeremy went out for drinks and saw a movie the other day. And that's the first time they've ever like hung out together. And Dan was like, that guy would take a bullet for you, man. Like, why have you edited ever since working with him? Like, you have no reason. He would edit anything you do.
Well, and that's a good thing to remember is that by not asking for help, you're actually taking away the opportunity for someone else to do something they love doing.
But as an artist and filmmaker, I think in my head, I'm like, but it's probably gonna be shit. I'm not gonna put this guy. I'm not gonna put my Dogman movie on someone else. Like,
well,
I'm gonna make them put their name on this.
Yeah, exactly.
One of my favorite things about so I was brought in as the cinematographer for Little Lucha and the Big Deal, and I was so happy to take a step back and just worry about the lenses, worry about the lighting. I didn't have to worry about shit. That was your guys' thing, but we were all working together. Mm-hmm. There was a camaraderie, and there was like there was an urgency, I'll say, from all of us to make this something really good and to meld your two styles together. Josh is a bit grittier. Scarlet has more of this like beautiful, like dreamy, colorful, poppy vibe to it. So it was like there was a lot of thought put into how each person was lit and how like colors gradually got like brighter and brighter and all sorts of things. So it was like really fun for me to dig into as a cinematographer, as a photographer. And you guys gave me that space. That was the thing. You guys just sort of were like, yeah, just fucking run with it. Like go with it, and we'll if we have anything to say, we'll say change that. It was just such a positive, wonderful experience for myself and a learning experience for me as a filmmaker too, to be like, man, it's nice to take a back seat sometimes.
Totally.
You know?
And so for our, for someone listening right now who maybe has somebody that they want to work with, whatever it is, whether it's at work, something collaborative at work, or it's, they want to start a business with their friend and they're not sure if they should. How did you two figure out how to work together because you had vibed together, but this was Little Lucha was like your first time working together as co-directors.
Yeah,
right?
and just to interject, it felt like you two have been working for years, because it was so easy. Like I was like, when I remember after day one, I was like, that shouldn't have been that easy.
Yeah.
To Bethany on the way home, and she was like, but it was. You know, I was like, this was kind of too easy.
How'd you figure it out?
I think part of that was, and there's like two parts for me, and obviously Josh can attest or be like, that's not true. But I think part one is like, at that point, Josh and I had been friends for like 6 years at the time where we made Little Lucha, 6 or 7 years. So there's that, right? You develop a language, you know how you are as friends, as like people who understand each other's work like anyway, or don't, right? You know, I kind of think you have a sense organically if your friend understands your work ethic or your style, or, you know, with Josh and I, it's very much like artistic. So your style, your likes, your dislikes. And then the second part is, I think he and I have very similar influences. I think we have really similar influences, and we've learned similar visual languages. He has gone more one way, and then I've gone the other way. But we know, like, I feel like you can see John Waters in both of our work.
Yes.
Totally.
You know, both of our work. You know what I mean?
Yep.
In both of our separate work and our separate styles, you can see, you know, John Waters, Tarantino. Even for me, there's a lot of Wes Anderson, but like, and I think maybe that's what I brought to Little Lucha, right? Was the more delicate, the more beautiful, quote unquote, the more aesthetic, like dreamy, like you said. But that's all also part of like rock and roll and garage rock and like these other ways that Josh and I like meld is music and just things that we love, that we're both influenced by, that we both understand, I think makes us speak the same languages. And it's those languages that like matter when you come together as people who work together.
I think we also both have this understanding that we can find influence and stuff, but we really want to find our own tone in stuff, which can be really challenging for people to sometimes like figure out what that is. And we both kind of see things in the same visual way, where we're like not either overthinking it or underdeveloping it. We have like a same spot we hit that ends up really working well, where like, just look at the costumes for Little Lucha and The Big Deal. Like, they're very different types of costumes, but they both try really hard to be proper and be what they need to be. Whereas mine's very handmade, raw, you know, like it's fun to look at, but it is very what he would be. Hers is very big. There's a wig. It's, you know, it's bold. And I think that there's
still both in patent leather boots.
And we still both have more than just like literally slapping something together or going so overboard that it's like, okay, how would she have that? Like, it's just, I think we find like a happy balance in our styles. But I think the reality, the most of anything, is we both have the sort of same style of emo, where we're very open. We're very open and we're willing to be ourselves, and then we're willing to let that go in an instant. So it is like, you know, we can be talking about something and one of us gets upset about it, or one of us, you know, starts to cry, or one of us or one of us is fucking in a chaotic energy of nervousness and doesn't know what to do next and is about to you know, have to breathe into a paper bag, and we're able to talk to each other and be like, take a minute. That's good. Let's go. Like we just have a similar, I don't know, sense of how this stuff gets made.
Mm-hmm.
It was probably one of the best experiences. Like, I still miss it. I still miss being on set with you guys. I miss the energy. We were in a rhythm, you know, by like hour 3, we were all like in our own rhythm. And that is a testament to the two of you for creating that space for everyone. You know, I felt very like comfortable. I was like, it was so easy to sort of, you know, go from one scene to the next and one scene to the next. And we also had an amazing crew, one of the best crews I've ever worked with, but also I've just worked with myself.
Yeah, you're the only crew.
So I really don't have much to compare it to, but it was the best. It was the best thing. Now, for most people who are listening, they're like, okay, great. Well, when can I watch this? Right. So I kind of want to walk people through the process of what a short film looks like and what the process is of like, you know, hey, we made something and here's what happens next. You know, like a lot of people go, well, I gave money to this. Why, you know, what's going on? Where is it at now?
Or can I watch it on YouTube?
Can I watch it on YouTube now? Like, when is it going to happen? So I just sort of want you guys to tell people what happens after you wrap and like months go by and you're like, what's going on with that thing you made that you were so excited about?
Yeah, I mean, it really boils down mostly to film festivals at this point.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing that you're always, you finish the production, it's done. And the funny thing is we were done before we even did the Kickstarter. We did it with very little money. I mean, it was mostly out of Dan's pocket. And so by the time we got to doing the crowdfunding, we were literally just looking to fund all of the extra stuff we didn't have and pay for music that Scarlet needed to have and pay for I'm just kidding.
There it is. That's the drama I wanted.
Or the motorcycle scene, the 5 motorcycle shots I needed.
Honestly,
but they made it.
They're awesome.
When I saw
Same with the song.
Cut,
I can't watch that wrestling scene without that song now. Like if it didn't play, I'd be like, this is garbage. Like I just can't, it just doesn't work for me anymore.
And I cried when I saw the rough cut with the motorcycle ending. I was like, oh my God. Like I was like crying. I'm like, what? I was like, I filmed this. I know what's going to happen. I'm fucking crying. I mean, I didn't film the motorcycle
ending made me cry too. I was just like, oh my God. Because, you know, after we finished shooting and Josh was like, I just really want this motorcycle scene. And I was like, I don't know if we need it. Like in all seriousness, I told him like, I feel like it's great. And he was like, I think we just need it. And then I flew to Atlanta like months later after we did the Kickstarter, Seed and Spark. After we did the Seed and Spark and we filmed it. And for me, it's funny. It's not the last shot of us riding away. It's this one shot of Josh, his hand to like turn the key.
Yep.
For some reason, it's like so beautiful because his hand is wrapped and like this like beautiful shot of like someone who has like lived this and like struggled with it and like, oh my God, it literally makes me emotional to think it's just a shot of a hand turning a key, but it means so much.
Yeah.
That's so funny because the motorcycle scene does not do that to me. It makes me feel happy. It does not make me cry at all because here's the thing. That's the reason. And it's great that it does. I want that emotion out of people or whatever. But my problem with the movie when I would watch the rough cut without it was the fact that I'm so fucking sad, like watching you find this happiness, watching The Big Deal find this happiness that I'm like, I need to know that they're going to continue on. I need like a visual representation that the journey is going to continue because right now she gave that little girl the thing and they've won. Like she overcame everything and she moved on. That little bit more tells me there's more to the story. Their story is continuing on, which meant more to me than that final like handing over the now a spoiler alert or whatever, but like the thing and so I don't even think I said I needed. I very much was, at least I probably did to you, but I very much to Dan was like, I want this, and if Daddy gets what Daddy wants. No, I was like, if we're gonna do the Seed and Spark, like what's the point of doing the Seed and Spark if we're not doing it to make the shit we want? So like, if we're gonna ask for this money, let's work the budget so we can properly fly her out. Yep. We could properly pay to, pay to get the motorcycle to us, get the trailer, get everything set up so we can do this, and let's do what we want to do. Yeah. And I don't regret doing it. I don't, and I think it was worth every penny to do that. But it was just one of those things where, it cost more than both of my features put together because of getting what I want versus what I would do by necessity. And this whole project was so like the opposite of doing what I want, which is if it had been that, Scarlet would have flown out to Minnesota. It would have been her, me, Dan, and McCrae would have been running the camera. And we would have just like slapped something together in his, like a fake diner in his kitchen. And that's what it would have been. That's like, that's what Greywood's plot was. Like, that's what everything I do is just this slap together. Like, what do we have? What can we do? And I didn't want to do that. I wanted to try making something where I didn't have to worry about the camera. I could worry about my performance. I didn't have to worry about lighting. When rain starts to come, I don't have to have a panic attack of how we're going to fix it.
We built a fucking tarp.
Yeah, I have you guys to go build the tarp outside and have people like Strauss on set to be like, what can I hold? What can I do? And, that's never been the way it's been. It's never been a project or a project where I have that sort of crew. And it was very revelatory how well it went.
Yeah, and to put this into context, like what we're talking about is with these reshoots is that we ran out of time and ran out of money. We not ran out of money, but we were more like, well, yeah, we did. We were like, we don't know. We can't film the motorcycle scene, so we don't know what we're going to do with it.
We just never...
Yeah.
We also never found a motorcycle.
We never found a motorcycle. Yeah, it was really tough. It was like, okay, so, and we were all sort of discussing on a break, like, wow, what are we going to do? And Josh, you were like, don't worry about it. We'll figure it out afterward. Yeah. And so like, it took months just to get that last tiny scene, which really makes the film. For me, it brings it on home. Like for me, I was like, this was so necessary. I can't see it ending any other way now. And that was like a separate B crew. It wasn't even. It wasn't
shot in Atlanta.
It was shot in Atlanta, and Scarlet, you flew out like Josh said. So it's like that's sort of sometimes what it takes, to get something done. It takes sometimes months just to get like one shot, but you need that shot.
So then we had everything in the can besides that shot. So by the time we slapped that footage in, and we were pretty much done besides the little things. And then it's become like just a process of, we had like a score in that could work, but also I wanted my buddy Curtis to score it, but I didn't want to give it to him before we were done. And we had more cooks in the kitchen for this one than a lot of projects. So there were back and forths of like, I gave it to Dan for like 2 weeks. I'm like, you do the producer cut. And Dan sent it back to me. And I was like, you took out my babies, and then figured out which babies we need to put back in and which ones we cut. And then we talked with Scarlet, and she was like, why'd you take out so many babies?
It's my baby. Yeah, literally. It was like, but I want that back. Yeah.
And figuring out like having those hard conversations of like, well, we hit this time. If we keep this scene, can we cut this moment? Can we cut this beat? And ended on a version of it that I'm very happy with, even though like there are things that I'm like, man, I wish we could have kept it at 16 minutes. Mm-hmm.
The only thing that I'm pissed about was the money slap. I was like, God damn it, that was such a great fucking. It took us like, and it took so short to set up and do. And you were like, I finally got that fucking shot. I've been trying to get that one fucking shot where that we go from we basically pull the camera from the money up to Josh's reaction.
It's like focus change.
Yeah, he slams it on the table. We pan back up to Josh, and it was such an awesome moment. And I was like, no, but it works. Pacing wise, it was better with it. I was like, it worked better.
I asked about the same thing. I was like, where's the money slap?
Yeah, you should have seen the version Dan sent to me before I sent to Scarlet. It was like 6 minutes, and like
there's an octopus in it for some reason. It's like, what? Why is there kaiju in this? What the fuck?
It was just like Dan. Well, Dan just did the producer thing where he's like, this one butchered is good. This butchered is going to play at like every fest because it's so like every little genre fest is going to take it because it's so short. And I was just like, yeah, but we gotta still tell the story, and went back and forth and figured out performances and stuff like that. Or like, natural miscommunications where there was a scene where there was a beat that Scarlett probably asked like 30 times. Why are we not seeing the close-up of it?
I was like, why are we not?
And I was just like, I don't think we have it. Like, I don't know what's happening. Like, there's a reason, and I could not get a straight answer as to why from Dan and Jeremy.
They just didn't like it.
Where I just came to find out, no, they didn't even not like it. They were just, we miscommunicated. Dan was telling Jeremy one thing. Dan didn't like one shot out of the thing, but not the close-up. Dan didn't like something else.
I wasn't fighting for a close-up of me. It's of something else.
Right. And Dan
was a close-up, but
right. But Dan was taking it to mean like, he thought we wanted a wide shot when we said close-up, but we were talking about a very specific close-up we wanted. And he was like, producer-wise, trying to like figure out how to have his cake and eat it too, or give us a little slice, and like basically was then like we were all miscommunicating, and that shit will happen when you're going between Scarlett to me to Dan to Jeremy, or
and
me
we're all
to
in
Jeremy,
or states. So
so is this all happening over email, or are you on phone calls? Text?
Yeah, texting, but it's also
texting Josh. I was like, "Where's the close up? I need the."
Yeah, it was definitely. It's so strange though. That was a really interesting moment for me as a director to be like, wow, we had this the whole time. Like this, if we had been in the room together, this would have been so easy. But it makes, you would have just been like, no, this shot right here. I want this one. Just extend this, and we would have had it. But they just, it was just a miscommunication. And it made me realize that stuff happens. And as long as everyone keeps their cool, which the four of us in our defense always did. Yeah. Because I've worked with plenty of people who would have been like on the phone, like, where the fuck is the close up? This is the fourth time I've texted it to you, the fourth time I've watched it, and you're still not getting my damn close up. And like,
that's not my style, but yeah.
No, it's not your style, but I've worked with plenty of people where it is their style.
Like, I'm more like, hello, how are you today? Since we last spoke, I hope your children are well.
I'm more, and I'm very much like, so why isn't this happening? Like, what's going on? Like, I'm trying to figure out I'm the question guy.
Yeah.
And so like, it became a lot of questions because Scarlet is also a question person, and things got just eventually worked out. I find those moments interesting though, because I don't get to do that a lot. I don't get to work with a crew where I don't ask myself those kind of questions. Mm-hmm. So when I'm working,
I feel like in life, I feel like a life hack for everything this kind of applies is like, don't get mad, get curious. Like,
ooh, that's great.
That's great.
Like, don't get mad. Like, even when something happens to you or you're in a fight with someone, I feel like it applies. It's like, whatever they said, like, don't get mad. Just like, get curious. Ask yourself, why? What could be happening in their life? What could be happening that I'm doing that I'm not seeing? Like, you just got to be curious.
That's amazing. Is that sort of your life motto, or did you just come up with that, Scarlet?
I came up with that right now. No, I mean, like in the
trademark,
trademark TMC.
Turner movie classics.
Turner movie classics. Yes. That was my film school.
That's definitely where I got that. No, I just think like, just in the last few years, like even, through therapy, through like different modalities of like viewing life, I've just been like, it's just so, it serves everyone so much more when instead of getting emotional or reactive, you just take a moment, take a beat and get curious and like ask.
Yeah, it's been a big, like, as I, like, this is way back, like getting out of high school, going into being an adult or whatever. One of like the tricks I found helped me in my anxiety and stuff was to ask, like, what do we do now? Like, what happens? Because I would get into these situations where my anxiety would kick in, where they'd be like, it's going to cost you $700 to fix your car. And I'd be like, I don't have $700. They'd be like, okay, well then you have to pay $250 to get it out of the shop because we checked it. And I'd be like, don't have $250. I'm 18, fucking broke. What do we do now? And 90% of the time, I mean, I wouldn't be like this. I'd be like, oh, I don't have it. What do we do now? What do I do? Yeah. And 90% of the time it would turn into them and be like, well, okay, here's what we can do. Like, I can help you. Mm-hmm. We can whatever. And so that's very much what I do on film, where I'm constantly like, it's just something that's been a mantra of mine since I was, growing up. And now on a film set, when I'm like, I can't get these fucking lines out. I don't know how to deliver this monologue I'm supposed to be giving. And I'm now talking to a wall and my anxiety's kicking in and I'm not sure what to do. I literally will think in my head, okay, what do I do now? Like, what do I do? Where do we go? And that gets me answering the question and I don't break down. My anxiety doesn't kick in.
Yeah. I think also action is the antithesis of anxiety. So like, doing will just help. Whatever it is you're doing, right? Like it'll just help the situation.
Pretty sure I heard that in a tarot card.
Oh yeah. Yesterday, I won't say exactly why, but yesterday Josh texted me some stuff and I was like, I'm going to pull a card for you.
Yeah. And then it led to like a long conversation. It was good.
And the card said, we're going to be clear. Yeah. The card was like, Spirit was like, we are clear. This is what's happening. So
I love that you two have this friendship. Yeah. It makes me so happy to see it and to have experienced it firsthand. Yeah. Like it really is. It's wonderful. And I think it's such a wonderful template for, filmmakers or anyone who wants to go out and be creative, is to be like, find the person you really click with and work with them.
Yep.
So it's easy,
I will say that's one of my hardest things, because I am a person who I don't easily, I let people in easily for conversation. I love to do podcasts. I love to talk to people, but like really bringing people in, you're like either a tight friend or you're probably not going to get a text from me. Like, it's just the way I am. Like, I'm not, I just know that about me. Or I'm not going to, that's maybe text isn't the right word, but like, I find it hard to like reach out to people about things or like, you know, whatever. And so, so like people like a shoot like that is nice because I'm able to bring in people like McCrae, who I've known since I was fucking 7 years old. Daniel, I've known my whole life. Strauss, who came in later, but has become like a confidant to me, or Scarlet, who I met later, who is, you know, one of my best friends who I talk to weekly. Like this, you know, even talking to you guys right now, when the conversation comes up about filmmaking, your name is instantly thrown out. It's like every project now. And that's because there's like a trust that's built versus I don't go to people and go like, well, who's on Craigslist who will come work with me? I just can't do that.
Yeah. I think it comes back to like speaking each other's language. Yeah. You know, you have to speak a similar visual language to make visual art together, I think. So,
and
you find someone that understands that language, you're like, stay with me.
Totally.
I'm going to keep you.
It is I think when you are creating something, especially it is so personal, and when you have learned everything yourself, and I'm looking at both of you as well, and you have come to rely on yourself so much, you now just get to know that you can do it, and you know how to do it exactly the way you want to do it. So letting somebody else in and risking that they may not be as good as you, or they may not have the exact same aesthetic as you, that I think is scarier than letting someone in on a project you're doing for work. You know, like, can you finish a spreadsheet? It's such profoundly personal work.
Right.
So I think that when you two found each other and discovered that you worked really well together, and then when you guys were open enough to bring other people on, it was such a gift to everyone. And I think that's why this set specifically was so wonderful and uplifting.
Great. I still can't get over it.
Was because it was like this big act of, we're going to try this all for the first time. We're going to trust each other. We're going to take this risk. And I think it paid off. And I want to just commend both of you for like being open to trying that and trusting other people.
It's trust. It's knowing where to freak out and where not to, and where to put your anxiety. And we knew the spots.
And I think there's so much, I feel like I'm Yoda right now, but I feel like there's so much power in the release of control.
Yeah.
Like fully releasing your idea of whatever this was. Like, there's confidence in release, there's power in release, there's like relaxation in release. So as soon as Josh and I saw your first like 3 shots,
the bathroom stuff, I'm like, he knows how to shoot this. He knows what we're going for. He can shoot if he can shoot in this tight space and make it look good, he can shoot in any spot of this.
And it's also at that point, like whether it was you or someone else, it's like at that point you're on set, like you're there.
That's true.
Yeah.
Like,
what am I gonna do?
Ain't nothing you can do about it. Yeah.
Like, you know, what good is it going to do for me to be like, I need to check every shot? Like, no, that's going to waste time. It's going to, you know, and so I think the longer you've done this is of course matters, but also the attitude of release is like so important and just really helpful.
Well, we also trust each other a lot. Like we trust, because we know that neither of us is going to lie to each other, but neither of us is also going to like, what's the term? Blow smoke up the other's ass, whatever the saying is. Like, we're not going to like, I don't know. We don't sugarcoat things, but we also don't throw each other under the bus. So there is this element of like, if Scarlet sees the shot, she like, I don't need to see it. I know she got what she wanted out of that moment. And if I wanted to see it, I would. And like, you know, Scarlet wanted to see some of her close-ups to make sure the lighting was right on her stuff.
Yeah.
Because I'm a dude who is never going to think about that. And she knows that about me. Just like, you know, some weird.
Yeah. I'm like, let me make sure my face looks like I want it to look.
Yeah. 100%.
If the light is
to
right
see this on a big screen. I want to make sure that I look good. and you know, you have to make sure you look good.
Totally.
Just like the wrestling stuff where I'm like, that was the stuff where I'm like, yeah, I trust Scarlet, but I was a lot more like, can I see that one? Because I feel like I don't know what happened there. Like,
Okay, well, that's because you were over my shoulder.
I know, right?
So
Oh my God.
that's why
There's
you
a
didn't know what
scene-
happened.
Yeah, there's a scene where Scarlet picks Josh up and it's fucking amazing and it makes me laugh every time I watch it. It's so incredible. I don't want to spoil too much, but on that note, let's talk about the future of Little Lucha and the Big Deal and, you know, what's to come for both of you. So, everyone's going to want to know, where can I watch this?
Where can I watch it?
festivals. I mean, we're hitting the festivals. Like
Yep.
we had a long conversation about this yesterday, and we're trying to figure it out. I think I'm in a very like creative driven spot right now where like
Right.
I need to make stuff or I'm going to lose my fucking mind.
We were just having this conversation before the fucking show, dude. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, it's good. So I sort of handed over a lot of this post-production stuff to Dan, and you know, while I handed over to Dan, he still is very much like checking in with me. And I was just like, dude, I don't care about festivals anymore. Like, talk to Scarlet. And Scarlet was like, do you need me to talk to Dan? I'm like, I think that would be very beneficial. Like, I
definitely care about the festivals.
I'm writing. I have like a list of stuff on my wall at all times. And I have like scripts I'm writing. I have all sorts of stuff. I am going into production. Like, I'm doing pitch decks for Abscess, sending scripts to Scarlet and we were talking about, you know, working on another project together that I've wanted to do for a long time. And like all these things, but I'm like, I need to be on set again. Like I can't, or I'm going to lose my fucking mind.
Dude,
So
literally just said the same fucking thing right before we hit right before you showed up. I was just I was like literally having a mental breakdown of like, I need to make something, goddamn. I literally just made something with Scarlet. Like I just made and I'm like, I have to make another thing. I'm crazy.
And isn't that like the curse of the artist always is like, I want to be on to the next thing. But I think I've learned that a film's life cycle is not when the edit is done. It's literally like, okay, now we got to get it seen, or we want to get it, you know, pitched or whatever it is. And I think Little Lucha and the Big Deal has so much potential for development, like as far as I think that's kind of how Josh and Dan and I like envisioned it anyway. It was like, okay, this could be the first episode this could be the pilot of a show.
Yep.
Or this could be the pitch for a feature, you know? So like, it definitely has that potential. And I think that we're taking that pretty seriously. But first things first is like festival run. Let's get some eyes on it. Festivals, it's funny. Like some people, and I've had this conversation with different filmmakers. It's like some people are so over it. They're like, I don't care. Like, you know, it doesn't blah, 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 because it is so hard. It is kind of a mishigas, as we said earlier. Like it is like so much trouble for sometimes so little, we think, right? We don't know, but so little reward. When the truth of it is like Josh and you met at a festival and then you did our film. So like,
that's a good point.
Kind of, you don't know what's going to come of it. So I feel like the more I do this, the more I find how important the festival circuit is, not because of distribution. I mean, and of course that would be amazing, but usually because of the people you meet and the like sense of community and the sense of like, you're not alone. And a lot of people are in our shoes right now. And like, let's brainstorm and figure out what to do next.
Yeah. Yeah. And you just,
for me, honestly, it's just at the place I'm at. Obviously I am very much the person who loves to sit with a movie afterwards. I've been doing stuff with the Good X. I've literally distributed that movie like 5 times now. I love that stuff. I'm just at a spot where,
for sure,
where I can't take rejection in this moment in life. So I'm like, you guys take the rejection because that's what comes with film festivals.
And honestly, what a gift. Like what a gift. That's part of the gift of collaborating is you can give someone else the rejection for a second. You can be like, you handle this because I'm emotionally not in a place.
Exactly. 100%.
Like, and that's just the reality of being human and especially of being an artist. And I think that's why collaboration matters.
To wrap it up, let everyone know where they can find you, your movies. Most importantly, where can you watch your movies? I know that you both have features, multiple features out, shorts if they're available. So I don't know, you guys. I don't know.
Go for it, Scarlett.
Yeah. There you go.
So I'm finishing up, I think, maybe have a couple more, we don't know. But I'll be rounding out, probably by December, I'll be rounding out my festival run with Velma, which is my most recent short film that I did before Little Lucha. So she may be available sooner than the rest, but you can see my other shorts and films at scarletmoreno.com/director. And you can always find me on Instagram at Scarlettini, 1 T, 2 N's.
Such a good follow.
Yeah. And then that's where I'm at right now. And then obviously Little Lucha, hopefully you can see where that goes after we complete our festival run, or if you're at the festivals.
Hell yeah.
Yes, go to the festivals, everyone. Go to the festivals. Yes. You can go to the festivals. It's people go to the festivals.
If there are festivals in your city, go to the screenings.
Yes.
Support indie film. Like, it's really important.
You're going to see some cool stuff.
Yes.
Josh, what about you?
Yeah. You could find a lot of stuff at joshstifter.com, or you could follow me on the social medias. Usually it's just at Josh Stifter, but I think on Instagram it's at Flush Studios. Mm-hmm. Or just search for The Good Exorcist or Greywood's Plot, my two features, and you can find those all around. Or head on over to patreon.com/Flush Studios. That's the thing. Like right now, it's kind of taking the fall bump, but I'm very excited for next year. Because it has been an ongoing conversation. One of the reasons I've had to get very creative recently is I have some big ideas with the help of Dan and Strauss and probably McCrae, and likely there will be Scarlett involved at some point along the way. But I really want to get back into behind the scenes and really like bringing people into what we do, which was always what that was intended to be, and kind of fell away from that as I got more into making stuff I was nervous that people saw. But I want to try to do stuff that isn't nervous. I'm not nervous for people to see, and invite them into projects like the 1st of November and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. And Scumbag, you're working on too, the one-man movie. You literally I am. That is a labor of love, I've heard.
No, it's very much a labor of love. I'm very happy with how it's going, but we talk about doing everything ourselves, and then you get to a spot where you are like you're so fucking good at what you do, you destroy yourself. Like, I know I can do it. Like, I know I can, but my God, like, it seriously is like, you realize how important the people you have around you are when you're watching something you filmed during one of the lowest points of your life, and you really hit a rock bottom to get to that spot, and then you're watching it over and over again and trying to find the emotion to score it, and sitting at your piano going, oh God, I'm fucking depressing myself through my old depressions. And like, it's this vicious cycle of it's such a self-fulfilling prophecy of wanting to be a scumbag. Like, good God, man, I really got to a place with this project, and it will come out someday.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone will be like, it's okay, and they will have no idea how like.
They'll say, but is he okay?
Exactly. Yeah. Or they'll be like, it was really
call
good.
The police.
No, you did an interesting thing. I don't think it does that. I think that's the thing, is it's like you don't realize how low someone can go
like
to make
someone's
something
watching it while texting without the idea that like Josh pulled his heart and soul through the mud to make it, and like re-traumatized himself, and it's like that's fine, text.
They'll be like, dude, I really you did a really great job on the score, and they won't. Then you'll cut. It's like Arrested Development cutting to me being like, the narrator is like, it really took a lot for him, and I'm like, fuck this stuff.
So if you follow Flush Studios on your Instagram, you'll once in a while just like post something on your stories, and it'll be like just sort of updating everyone of what's going on. And I remember you posted one time, it was like you sitting in the scumbag outfit, was just basically you in boxers and a gas mask and like just a suit jacket or something. I don't know, but that's the basic vibe of it.
Yep.
And you were like, the quote was like, "This is destroying me slowly and surely, but I will finish it." And it's just you sitting in the scumbag outfit, and I almost I almost vomited laughing. Like I was like, I don't mean to be laughing at this, but this is filmmaking. This is literally filmmaking,
and I love it. Don't get me wrong. I'm being a little bit like sarcastic because I'm not literally crying while I write the score and stuff, but I am very much going like, I'm not. I literally have not cried.
I'm just kidding.
If I've cried, it is to Daniel, where I go, I don't know if I can do this anymore.
Yeah.
But like in Daniel's defense, he told me not to do Scumbag. But
please, for God's sake, don't do this, Josh.
Yeah. But it is very much like this massive labor of love that I've talked about for 4 years, and I just want to be done with. And when you see an independent film and you go like, great job that they made that thing. No, it is fucking hard for us. All of these projects are really far harder than the Marvel movie that you see. Like the process and the emotion that goes into it is far, far more. And Scumbag will come out. I'm going to continue to post about it on Patreon. Follow it. You'll hear these kind of stories as I move forward. But this is something that it's a super personal movie, and I'm very excited for people to actually see it when it's done. And I think there's going to be a handful of people who really get it, and I'm excited about that.
Yeah, and you're an amazing animator. You make comic books. I mean, the both of you are so talented. So please, guys, follow these creators.
We'll put all the links in the show notes.
Put all the links in the show notes. Thank you guys so much. This was absolutely wonderful.
Pleasure.
Honestly, it's like a
fun
therapy session for me today. It's just great. I needed this. It's amazing. Just you get the people you need at the right moment.
Sure.
I mean,
Thankfully for Bethany.
I'll be honest. I'm glad we did it today and not like 3 days ago, because I think it would have been a very different show had we done it before conversations with Dan and tarot card readings and other things. I think this would have been a very, very different podcast. But this was very fun, and I appreciate the conversation.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us. You guys are amazing.
Oh, we love you both
one
so
thing
much.
to promote that Scarlett and I worked on. Scarlett hired me as her DP for a music video that should be out right now since this is coming out in December. Ariana and the Rose, Cosmic Lover. Search it on YouTube. Ariana and the Rose.
We're all tied together through the Ariana, because I've worked on a bunch of her. I've edited her music videos as well, and done a bunch of stuff for her.
She's awesome.
And she might be on tour right now, so if she's in your city, go check it out.
Of course, she's not coming to Atlanta. She never comes to Atlanta.
Well, call her and tell her.
I don't know. I should.
Yeah, call your local Ariana and the Rose and demand that she comes to your city.
She makes me nervous. I don't know. little small folk make small folk nervous sometimes, and she's one of those little people who I feel like she.
You can tell she's incredibly smart and she knows what she likes.
Oh,
She's very talented.
Yep.
And it's like, oh God, I hope I live up. Like I was a grip on that shoot, and I was still like, God, I hope she likes my work. And I was like pushing a cart. You were a powerful force on that set. You were pushing me around on that fucking dolly cart. I'll grip anyone's cart, push them around.
Damn, girl. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for this very fun episode of Checking In With. Again, please follow these lovely creators. Support their work. Support independent film. And you know what, guys? We will see you on the next Check In.
Check.
Yes, join in. Check In.